kids, where are you? It's time for all the art to tell stories.
Chapter 1. A calm forest. Morning Ruby. A lively rabbit with soft grey fur and sparkling green eyes lived in a cozy burrow nestled in the heart of Meadowwood Forest. The forest was her playground, and its inhabitants were her family. She loved hopping through sun-dappled clearings, nibbling on sweet clover and listening to the birds' melodies. One morning, Ruby noticed an unusual dryness in the air. The grass crackled under her paws, and the leaves on the trees seemed brittle. "The forest feels strange today," she muttered to herself. Ruby's nose twitched as she sniffed the breeze, catching a faint whiff of something acrid. Chapter 2. The smoke on the horizon. Later that day, while Ruby was gathering berries, she heard a frantic flapping of wings. It was Skylar the blue jay. "Ruby, there's smoke rising from the far side of the forest," Skylar squawked. Ruby's ears perked up. "Smoke? That means fire." Skylar nodded. "It's spreading fast, and the animals there don't know how to escape." Without hesitation, Ruby bounded back to her burrow, formulating a plan. The thought of her friends in danger filled her with determination. Chapter 3. Ruby's plan. Back at the burrow, Ruby gathered her closest friends: Benny the badger, Lila the squirrel, and Finn the fox. "We need to help the animals trapped by the fire," Ruby said. "I'll dig tunnels to guide them to safety, but I'll need your help." Benny, a skilled digger, agreed to assist with the tunnels. Lila offered to climb trees and warn animals in the higher branches, while Finn promised to scout ahead to ensure the paths were clear. "Let's move fast," Ruby urged. Chapter 4. The first tunnel. Ruby and Benny began digging the first tunnel near the eastern edge of the forest, where the fire was already spreading. The ground was hard and dry, but they worked tirelessly, paws flying through the soil. Meanwhile, Lila climbed the trees, chattering warnings to birds and other treetop creatures. "Head to Ruby's tunnel," she called. Finn ran ahead, guiding animals like deer, raccoons, and hedgehogs to the safety of the tunnel. Ruby stayed at the entrance, encouraging her friends as they emerged from the smoke-filled woods. Chapter 5. The fire advances. As the day wore on, the fire grew fiercer. Flames crackled and roared, and the smoky air made it hard to breathe. Despite her exhaustion, Ruby refused to stop. "We need another tunnel on the west side," Ruby said to Benny. "I'm with you," Benny replied, his face streaked with dirt. This tunnel was even harder to dig, with tree roots and rocks blocking the way. But Ruby's resolve never wavered. She thought of the animals counting on her, and it gave her strength. Chapter 6. A close call. While digging the second tunnel, Ruby heard a frantic cry. It was a family of field mice, huddled under a bush as the flames drew closer. "Hold on!" Ruby shouted. She quickly dug a small side tunnel, just big enough for the mice to crawl through. "Thank you, Ruby," squeaked the smallest mouse. Ruby smiled despite her fatigue. "Stay together and follow the main tunnel to safety." Chapter 7. The final push. As night fell, the fire threatened the heart of the forest. Ruby and her team worked faster than ever. Skylar returned with news that many animals were still trapped near the southern edge. "We'll dig one more tunnel," Ruby said. Her paws were sore and her muscles ached, but she refused to rest. Benny joined her, and together they dug the longest tunnel yet. Lila and Finn continued guiding animals, their voices hoarse from shouting over the roar of the flames. Chapter 8. A Hero's Effort. By the time the last animals emerged from the southern tunnel, the fire had nearly reached Ruby's burrow. She and her friends collapsed on the ground, coughing and covered in soot. But as they looked around, they saw animals of all shapes and sizes safe and sound. Birds chirped their thanks, and deer nodded in gratitude. "You did it, Ruby," Benny said. "You saved the forest." Chapter 9. The Forest Rebuilds. In the weeks that followed, the animals worked together to rebuild their home. Ruby's tunnels became permanent pathways, connecting different parts of the forest. The charred ground began to sprout new life, and the animals planted seeds to help the forest heal. Ruby was hailed as a hero, though she humbly insisted it was a team effort. Chapter 10. A Legacy of Courage. Ruby's bravery and determination became a legend in Meadowwood Forest. Whenever danger loomed, the animals would remember her words. "Together, we can overcome anything." Ruby continued to live in her cozy burrow, ready to help her friends whenever they needed her. And every time she looked at the tunnels, she felt a sense of pride, knowing she had made a difference. In a vibrant jungle, filled with towering trees and shimmering rivers, Piper, a bright green parrot with a fiery red crest, was well known for her gift of mimicry. She could imitate any sound she heard, whether it was the bubbling of a brook, the roar of a tiger, or even human speech. Piper lived in a leafy treetop, where she entertained the other animals with her impersonations. Her favorite pastime, however, was visiting the edge of the jungle where a small human town lay. From her perch, she listened to the villagers chatting, learning new words and phrases. One peaceful morning, Piper noticed something unusual. The ground beneath her favorite tree trembled slightly. It wasn't enough to alarm her, but it was strange. She mentioned it to her best friend, Milo the monkey. "The ground shook," Piper said, flapping her wings nervously. Milo laughed. "You probably imagined it. Maybe it was just the wind." But Piper couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Over the next few days, the tremors grew stronger. Piper began noticing other changes in the jungle. The birds were flying erratically, and the ground animals seemed restless. Even the rivers were behaving oddly, with water levels rising and falling unpredictably. Curious and concerned, Piper flew to the human town. Perching near the marketplace, she overheard the townsfolk talking about the tremors. "Maybe it's an earthquake coming," one man said. "Impossible," another replied. "We haven't had one in decades." Piper didn't understand the full meaning of their words, but she realized the humans were as uneasy as the animals. Determined to understand what was happening, Piper flew deeper into the jungle where the wise old owl Professor Hoot resided. "Professor, the ground shakes, and the animals are acting strangely. What does it mean?" Piper asked. Professor Hoot adjusted his glasses. "Those are signs of an earthquake, Piper. If the tremors are growing stronger, It could mean a big one is coming. Everyone must prepare. Piper's heart sank. She thought of the villagers and their homes. Piper returned to the human town, landing on the roof of the mayor's office. She listened carefully as the mayor addressed a group of townsfolk. "We'll monitor the situation, but there's no need to panic," the mayor said. Piper decided she couldn't wait for humans to act. Flying into the town square, she repeated what she'd heard in her best mimicry of human speech. "Earthquake coming. Prepare now." The townsfolk stared in disbelief. Some villagers thought Piper's warning was a prank, but others grew concerned. A young girl named Emma, who often fed Piper scraps of fruit, approached the parrot. "Piper, are you trying to tell us something?" Emma asked. "Earthquake! Prepare now!" Piper squawked again. Emma ran to her father, a builder. "Dad, we should listen to Piper. What if she's right?" Emma's father nodded. "Let's strengthen our house just in case." Back in the jungle, Piper worked tirelessly to warn her animal friends. She urged them to move to higher ground and find sturdy shelters. "Big shake coming, stay safe," she called out to the deer, rabbits, and jaguars. Milo the monkey finally took her seriously and helped spread the word. Soon, the jungle was abuzz with animals preparing for the worst. One fateful evening, the tremors grew violent. Trees swayed, the ground split, and a deafening roar filled the air. Piper flew high into the sky, watching in horror as the earthquake shook the jungle and the town. The humans who had heeded her warning fared better, their reinforced homes withstanding the quake. Others scrambled for safety, guided by Emma and her father. In the jungle, the animals took refuge in the sturdy shelters they had prepared. When the earthquake subsided, the town and jungle bore scars of the disaster: fallen trees, cracked buildings, and frightened inhabitants. But thanks to Piper's warning, many lives were saved. The villagers gathered in the square, marveling at the parrot who had saved them. The mayor declared, "Piper is not just a parrot, she's a hero." Piper continued to live in the jungle, visiting the town often. The villagers built a small statue in her honor, and the animals regarded her as a wise and brave leader. Piper's gift of mimicry had saved her home, proving that even the smallest voice can make a big difference. If you like our stories, please like, subscribe, and turn on the little bell so you won't miss exciting stories every day. You are also welcome to share it with family and friends to listen to the story together. Love you.